Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another tier list. You guys enjoyed the last one, so here comes another one. Today we are gonna list all the Deadlock heroes after how fun they are to play, not how good they are. We're gonna start with Abrams. A lot of people that play Abrams tell me that it makes them feel like superior human beings when they pin someone against the wall and punch them to death. And I think Abrams is one of those heroes where if you are on the receiving end of that, you would say that it's probably not very fun. However, I'm pretty sure that the people who play Abrams will find that quite hilarious, and I think that's a solid A tier. Now, Bebop, I previously put in a B tier in the previous one. I've played him quite a lot since, made some very fun builds, might have bumped him up to an A, but in terms of fun, this hero has it all. Not only can he do the double bomb, one-shot build with echo shards. You can do the Skybeam ultimate laser build, or you can go gun bop, or you can go the anti-fun bop, which has like every slow and every anti-heal. There's like a plethora of options with builds when it comes to Bebop, which makes it also a really good hero to play a lot, because you can keep experimenting with builds, and you can keep finding out new ways to play him and have fun with him. There's a lot of items that works. So highly recommend picking up Bebop. And it's also just a blast to start stacking up bomb damage and watch your enemies melt. Dynamo. Dynamo is tricky to me because he does have one of the best guns in the game. So some people choose to build him as a gun hero. But then the most satisfying part of his kit is to land like a 3-4 man ult. But he does feel a little bit like an ult bot, which is why I'm gonna put him in B. I don't mean to be a hater, but I don't think Dynamo is that interesting. He's one of the best heroes in the game, but I think you pick Dynamo to win, not to laugh. Grey Talon. One thing that's very fun about Grey Talon, I forgot to mention that about Bebop too, they both have infinite scaling mechanics. Bebop gets permanent damage increase on his bombs whenever it damages a hero, and Grey Talon gets permanent 5 spirit per kill with his owl. This opens up for some very fun builds where you can open up with focusing on the owl early game. I actually have a build in the guides, if you search for AverageJonas, I think it's called Early Bird Hybrid, where the goal is to get killing blows with the owl early game, which stacks up your permanent spirits. And the funny thing is that Grey Talon's movement speed is affected by his spirit. So late game, he can run around like a race car, which is very funny. So he's definitely also up there in the A tier. Sometimes he can be a little bit hard to fight in actual battles with. And that's why like sometimes you'll be running around and farming a lot instead of being in the front lines. And that's also why he's A and not S tier. Haze. So Haze to me is one of those heroes who will disappear for 30 minutes and come back with a silencer and Ricochet and Unstoppable, and you press all those buttons at once. And if you're lucky, there's a lot of people there and they go boom. But to me, it seems a little bit stale because at the end of the day, you are getting Tesla bullets and then you sit in the jungle for 30 minutes trying to stay ahead on souls. And it's just, I don't know, it doesn't seem that appealing to me at least. So I'm going to put Haze in B tier. It recently get buffed, so definitely a better spot in general, but not like a Omega fan. Infernus. Infernus is a tricky one because like, I think this hero is one of the coolest character designs in general. It's like, he looks really stylish. And he's like shoots fire out of his finger gun, which is pretty sick. Has some pretty cool mechanics. He definitely also needs a lot of farm, but he does come online a little bit earlier than Haze. I think I'll put Infernus in A tier because I think his abilities are a little bit more exciting. Like applying dots to a lot of people, doing debuffs. Infernus is a pretty cool hero in my opinion. Ivy. Ivy is annoyingly strong. She has one of the strongest guns by default in the game. The weird thing is that she has by default a supportive toolkit, so Lord knows why they designed her gun to be that strong. But either way, I think Ivy is actually definitely A, almost S tier. I'm gonna be a smart man now and actually do this thing where I put them in order like this. And my reasoning being that one thing with Ivy that is very fun is just like her gun in general, but it's also the fact that she has global presence on the map with her flying ult. Like you can fly the urn to the other spots. You can do the 7 ult thing if you want to, even though that got nerfed to 50% damage. So she is quite fun, I think, but I think a lot of the fun involved relies on being a teammate. Whereas like the reason why Bebop is S tier to me is just because it kind of has everything and you don't need anyone else to do that. You can just have fun on your own. Kelvin. Kelvin is an interesting hero. He was extremely strong a few patches ago because his Arctic Beam was also disarming. And then when they nerfed him, they made him into like a pseudo support because he has quite a lot of heals. His ult can heal, his Frost Grenade can heal. So it's very common to play the healing beam build and stuff. I actually think that Kelvin is S tier. And the reason for that is it is incredibly satisfying to use his ice walking thing. His ult is very satisfying to catch someone off guard. There's a lot of variety within builds you can make. You have some people, they make his ult into like a WWE UFC arena and he just punches people to death. And some people go full spirit, some people go support. It's a lot of variety within the same hero. And I think the hero is in a good spot now. And he's also, in general, I think about it this way. If a hero is annoying to play against, he's probably pretty fun to play. Because I know that when I play Bebop, people fucking hate it. And that's why I love it. Lady Geist. Lady Geist, I know there are some like hardcore Lady Geist fans. I think she is a little bit boring. And the reason why is because her ult is like a little bit like, let me just sit in a bush with low HP and then swap health with innocent bypasser. I've played her a few times. I don't find her that fun to play. I know there are some people that love her, obviously, but I don't see the big appeal. Her gun isn't that great either. And yeah, to me, that's just a little bit like, I understand the concept of making like hero diversity and having a hero that sacrifices health to use her abilities. And you can also play both gun and spirit bomb builds, but usually the only build that's really good is the bomb hag, as they call her. But to me, it seems a little bit boring to me. Lash. Lash has the most mobility in the game together with Viscous. He is an asshole. It is incredibly satisfying to lift people up in the air and toss them around, stomp on them. And then when you get low, you fly over a big creep wave, you use your flog and you heal back up to max. Cool voice lines. This is just a solid S tier. Maybe I'm biased, I don't know. I know that I'm a like Bebop and Lash enjoyer for sure, but like I also just think that like he's just fucking cool. And then we have McGinnis. For those of you who watched my other tier lists, you'll probably remember that I put McGinnis was the only hero I put in the C tier. The reason for that is that it's a pretty common consensus, especially in the high MMR group, that she is the worst character in the game. However, I will say that her gun is pretty satisfying to use. You can build her both as like spirit heavy and just put down turrets that hits for shit tons and you just spam your ult, or you can go pure gun. It is, in a lot of cases, not great. Like in a lot of cases, she just does what other carries do, but worse. But I will say that like once you have like intensifying mag and active reload and a few movement abilities and stuff and fleet foot, she is quite fun to play. I do think I'm going to put her here, actually. I definitely think she's more fun to play than these three. So I'm trying to like put... oh yeah, I got to put this in order now. So we put Lash here. Mo and Krill. Mo and Krill is a little bit interesting because if you get really far ahead, then Mo and Krill on his own can just kill anyone and they can't escape. He's a weird one because like he's fun in the laning stage because like he's got insane lane sustain. He's also just extremely strong, by the way. And I think... when I first saw Mo and Krill, I was like, oh, boring tank. And then I tried him earlier today, and I also like talked to Ziptie and Red, who are also playing him, and he's actually quite fun. And you can play him quite differently. You can play like pure spirit, trying to one-shot with ult. You can play him more as a support. There is some like variety within how to play him. So I think I'm going to put him right up because I think... in a way, it feels a little bit similar to how you play Abrams. You're like a strong, tanky frontliner who doesn't die and you have a lot of crowd control. You're kind of just trying to piss off your enemies. Paradox. Paradox is a pretty cool hero. She can like swap heroes around through the wall. She can toss a time bomb, and that kinetic carbine is like a super satisfying nuke. I know Ziptie has been like pretty much one-tricking Paradox. She's hard to play, yes, but I don't think hard to play should affect the fun factor on a tier list because that's kind of the same with Lash too. You're not having fun on Lash until you play like 10 games with him at least. So I think I'm gonna put Paradox right here. before Infernus. I think she definitely is fun. She is hard to play, but you also have to remember one thing, guys. When hero is hard to play, it also feels infinitely more rewarding when you're doing well. Then we have Pocket. Pocket is an interesting one because he has like some crazy outplay potential. He has a very high skill cap and you can like, there's so much shit you have to get away with. And Pocket is like that one hero where you almost have to buy Silence Glyph because he's just so annoying. Or you can just have a Mo and Krill. Dude, this is hard. It's hard because like, okay, but it's hard, but it's also like, it's kind of also just because they've done a really good job with the hero design in this game, in my opinion. I don't want to put every hero in A. I will say that like, if you're good with Pocket, I think that's like, you feel really cool. You're styling on your opponents. I think you actually put Pocket right up here. That's what I think. And then you have Seven. Seven to me is a little bit interesting because Seven and Haze, they have a lot in common. In the current meta, they both kind of disappear into the jungle for 30 minutes and then they come out of the jungle and they press their ult and they hope to win. That's how most people play them. That's why I also feel like I'm going to put him in a similar boat with Haze. I personally think he's a little more fun to play than Haze, but I don't think he's that interesting. His ult is kind of just like press it and stand still. And the higher up in rank you go, the less fun he becomes to play because people just buy counters as well. Also, funny enough, when I play Bebop, it is so easy to deal with Seven because either I just hook him down, double bomb and hide, or I just laser beam him and I have 100% lifesteal and he will just die. All right, next up is Shiv. Guys, I have to be honest with you. I think Shiv is pretty fucking boring. He's very strong. In the current meta, he's about as strong as Abrams, but I think he's pretty fucking boring. I think he just runs around and tosses daggers at people and it doesn't appeal to me. I will say though, before Shiv came out, I thought that this was going to be my hero, but then they also changed him a bit before he came out. And he was also extremely strong when he came out, and now they nerfed him quite a bit. But I don't know. He's pretty boring. All right, and then we have Vindicta. Vindicta is the only hero in the game that can permanently fly if you get a certain amount of cooldown reduction, or maybe you can anyway. She's like the classic archetype sniper. I think her ult is really cool, but I don't think the rest of Vindicta's toolkit is that interesting. Does that make sense? It's cool that you're able to fly. It's cool that you have a cool sniping ability and stuff, but she doesn't have any like, you're just floating around and shooting. I'll put her here. All right, next up is Viscous. Viscous is similar to Lash. The movement skill cap is extremely high. There's so much stuff you can do, so many decisions to make, so many build types you can do. You can support your teammates or you can play Spirit Burst mode. You can focus on the ult with like cooldown reduction and rolling. And Viscous is like the perfect example of a hero someone's gonna main and be a one trick on and really piss you off. I think that he goes, honestly, I think he actually is right up here. I just think that this is like an extremely interesting hero with a lot of potential. And I've seen some insanely good players do shit I didn't think was possible. He uses the terrain very well. Like you have to be aware of the terrain around you. Just a super interesting hero in general and also very high skill cap. Next up is Warden. Warden is an interesting one because what's been pretty popular recently is to just buy like every movement speed item in the game. You have slowing hex and you put slowing hex on them so they can't run away from your route. You route them and then you just run them down. I don't know. I don't think it's that fun. It's fun for a little bit, but in a lot of cases that doesn't actually happen. It's like sometimes, on rare occasions, sometimes it's fun. You're like farmed and you're ahead and you pop all your shit and you run them down and stuff. But I don't know. I just think it's a little lame. And also, his ult is not fun. It has a 2.2 second cast time, and 50% of the time you start casting it, everybody hears the voice line, and then you're just ulting nothing. So he goes here. And then we have Wraith. Wraith to me is a little bit of an ult bot in a lot of cases. It's like whenever she has ult, she ganks. and then there is a projectile that follows you, stuns you, and she tosses 3 cards at you, and then she goes and hides until she has her ult again. It's a pretty straightforward playstyle. Her toolkit is cooler than Seven and Haze for sure. She can teleport. She has like the blink thing. She's a little more finicky to me, but I still think that she fits right here with Warden. I don't think she's that interesting. I think like this, and this becomes very like mouse 1 pressing. Not that interesting. Is it good? Yes. Is the ult good? Yes. All right. And then finally we have Yamato. Yamato is actually a pretty cool hero in my opinion. She has a very high skill cap. She can get out of shit that no other hero can get out of. I haven't played her a lot. I tried her a little bit today, and I don't know, she has like really cool mobility. She has a very high skill cap. She has a lot of different builds you can go. It's always like this is one of those hit or miss characters. You're not gonna have like a half impact Yamato on your team. Either they're fucking crushing it, and everybody's like, holy fuck, she's unkillable. How's she doing it? Or it's the other one where it's like, she pops her ult and you just kite her for 6 seconds and she dies. I'm going to put her here, top of A. Okay, so that was my fun tier list for Deadlock heroes. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any suggestions to other tier lists we should do in the future. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you liked it as well, and subscribe to the channel for more daily Deadlock updates, and I'll see you in the next video.